When it comes to dinosaurs, I'm sure most think of a few prominent ones even if they have a basic level of knowledge, like T-Rex, Velociraptor, and Triceratops. People with a little bit of an interest in dinosaurs may be familiar with the name Allosaurus, literally meaning different lizard. This is one of the more large theropod carnivores that lived during the late Jurassic period. Allosaurus is dubbed the king of the Jurassic, due to many factors, it being found very frequently, its size, which could have been around 12 meters, and weighing between 1 and 3 tons, and its overall sense of being the mighty apex predator. Now, this large theropod is recognized by its tyrannosaur-like build and its iconic hatchet bite. Now, despite what you might think, the hatchet bite is not something that would work the way you think it does. Because yes, Allosaurus' skull was made in a way that shows it could slam the top of his head down like a hatchet, supposedly. It also had the capability to open its jaw very, very wide, around 90 degrees. This is what led us to believe that it could slam its head down like a hatchet, but in reality, most of the time, it'll just get a dislocated jaw. Simulations show that this would not be effective, because we know for sure Allosaurus was definitely a rival of sauropods, like Diplodocus, who lived alongside the Allosaurus. So what we now believe is that, due to its fairly weak bite force, which is caused by its strong neck muscles and mobility, it had a semi-hatchet bite-like mechanic. But it was more for hacking and slashing away at large prey with its highly serrated steak knife-like teeth, which if the prey was able to escape, it would most likely just bleed out. And not to mention 2 strong arms with 3 meat hooks at the ends of them. So yeah, I hope I explained that to a decent degree. It is still a bit of a confusing topic simply because we know how its jaw is built, we know how it can open its mouth really wide, and it had a very high tooth replacement rate, but it wouldn't be able to regenerate teeth quickly enough if it was constantly doing this so-called hatchet bite. But by no means does it make him defective as a predator, as the Allosaurus was shown to be a very successful predator, as it lived for many millions of years, until the end of the Jurassic period. In this time frame, it wasn't exactly alone. In the Morrison Formation of the western United States, we found a ton of Allosaurus, but also some other overlooked predators like the Ceratosaurus, which we believe was a rival for the Allosaurus. Although fights like this wouldn't happen 24/7 because they had to have their own lifestyle to sustain and not kill each other all the time. Ceratosaurus were predators that liked to be hidden near water to find an abundance of small prey, while the Allosaurus liked to be in open terrestrial areas like plains. But most of the time, if Ceratosaurus wasn't in a group, the Allosaurus, who we actually believe could have roamed around in groups, would most likely be the victor most of the time. Although Allosaurus couldn't always win every fight, and no, I'm not talking about Stegosaurus, as that will be for a later video. I'm talking about another known theropod that lived alongside the Allosaurus, known as Torvosaurus, meaning savage lizard. I also mentioned the Edmarca Rex, which just seems to be another Torvosaurus, but for now I'll just talk about the Torvosaurus. It's another theropod that called the Morrison Formation home, and it was a megalosaurid weighing up to 4 tons, which, for reference, is about 8 polar bears. And of course, I'm talking about the largest Torvosaurus. The 2 most likely fought, but we don't know very much about these 2 being constant rivals. However, the scary thing for Allosaurus is that unlike Allosaurus, who had a very weak bite force for its size, the Torvosaurus had one of the strongest bites among theropods. Although the exact numbers are kind of hard to come by, regardless, this would make each bite really deadly for the Allosaurus. It's an interesting thing to think about. I'll leave it to your imagination. We don't have much scientific evidence of what an encounter of these 2 would look like. They both lived in the same area, and more likely than not, they met each other from time to time. But the same thing applies to the Ceratosaurus. They occupied their own ecological niches so that peace could, well, somewhat be achieved. In the end, due to changing factors within the environment, and prey being split up by the continental changes, these magnificent predators went extinct, including the Allosaurus, who will always be remembered as the king of the Jurassic period. And just as an aside, there's one very prominent topic I didn't talk about in this video, the Saurophaganax, which will be for a later video. That needs a pretty deep dive to make sense of all of it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like this. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. See ya.